Good evening and welcome to Perspective. Unity is something to be desired, to be striven for, and certainly even the weak become strong when united. But it's an achievement that cannot be achieved by mere declarations. And in turbulent times, successful nations unite. Whatever political aspirations there may be when faced with an enemy from the outside, it's important and imperative to unite against it and face it together from a position of strength. We will be talking about whether politics of agitation is really the way forward today in the current climate of today. I have with me today Jan Achakzai Saab, who is from PMLN. Thank you for joining us today. Kamran Khan Saab, Bureau Chief, Neo TV. Thank you for giving us your time. And Jadoon Saab, who's a journalist, thank you for giving us your time today. To start off with you, Achakzai Saab, what is the basis, what do you think is the rationale for a politics of agitation in times like this, of what we have today, the kind of political climate, the kind of social climate that is spewing? Why this politics of agitation?
Well, I think at the juncture we are today, we really need social harmony, political stability. Why these are must enablers? Because Pakistan has undertaken this huge, gigantic, what we call it, fate changer project, CPAC. CPAC would change the geoeconomics of this region. It will offer opportunity to the region from China to India. And here the people, particularly who are hell-bent against this CPAC project, want to create some sort of stir in this country so that we remain weak country, so that we remain, focus on periphery issues. I think here the PTI's agenda coincide with those people. Some of them are Indian lobby. They have claimed they are not happy with CPAC. They have sent this message to Pakistan and China as well. I think this is one reason. The second is political PTI somehow have realized that maybe run up to 2018, the PMLN government is most likely to deliver on its main pledges, i.e. the energy revolution, what I call it, infrastructure development and human capital. So that means the people will go again for the PMLN. That is why they fear. So let's go for disrupting and killing its initiative.
Right. Yeah,
and
right. Let me take Kamran Saab's input on that. Kamran Saab, how true is this? How far do you agree with this? That it's really just about the fact that PTI fears that it is PMLN that will maybe come again, like Achakzai Saab said. Of course, we've seen the results in Azad Kashmir, where it was a PPP government, but PMLN did do very well there, and the by-elections also. How far do you agree with that?
Yes, to a certain extent, I will agree with Achakzai Saab that yes, PTI has it has anticipated its result or its fate. I mean, it's yet to be. It's very premature to forecast anything about the 2018 elections, because general election is a game. Before that, you make alliances, and you come closer. Even marriages of convenience are made.
Right.
So
it's
premature to say anything about and to predict anything about the result or impact of 2018 election. But I must say that as you were referring in your intro, that the timing of this agitation was being criticized. I must say that I'm not supporting PTI, but I must say that this agitation or this protest is not new. I mean, it was started soon after the result of the general election of 2013. Imran Khan was continuously pleading his case of 4 constituencies. He was saying, yes, you just open these 4 constituencies, and it will open a Pandora's box. Commission was made on the concerns of, and even the commission's report was made public. And what happened? I mean, the whole system is over there. PTI was claiming that this report is in its favor. the government was claiming that yes, this report is in our favor, we have defeated our opponent. So, I mean, the status quo is almost the same.
Right.
And the result is that the Imran Khan is, what he claims is that he has, it's a continual process of agitation, which is now going to the climax. So that's why I think the October 30th date is the, I mean, a complete, a climax can be witnessed.
Right. Jadoon sir, of course, like Kamran sir was saying, it's not new. And you know, we've been hearing it since, you know, the government came in, and there has been a commission, and, you know, things and the allegations have perhaps not been able to, you know, they haven't really been able to prove them. But considering the fact that, you know, the kind of climate that there is from across the border, the kind of interest that the parliament has taken, the other parties has also taken, you know, coming together on the Kashmir issue, the resolution, is this the right way forward?
Yes, thank you very much. I think to start with, it is the inherent right of the opposition to sort of go for the political agitation, peaceful political agitation, or protest on any given issue which the concerned party believes that it needs to protest.
Right.
But I think you rightly pointed out that when you go for such a huge and massive protest, which has already been stated by the PTI that they are going to do the blockade of the capital city of Pakistan.
Right.
Now, I think there are two important factors which we need to consider while talking about this political agitation in Pakistan. First is the regional situation, which you rightly pointed out. The regional security paradigm now requires that, given the threats of aggression which are emanating from New Delhi, and the talk of teaching Pakistan a lesson, and talk of paradigm shift in Indian defense policy and security policy towards Pakistan.
Right.
We know that now the internal and external policies of BJP are being dictated by RSS. RSS was not so a dominant force when Mr. Vajpayee was in power.
Right.
But after the coming into power of Mr. Narendra Modi in New Delhi, we know that the RSS has taken a very dominant role in policy formulation.
Right.
RSS is a party, is an outfit, a rabid, radical outfit, which believes that anti-Pakistan rhetoric works in India. And they believe that while targeting Pakistan is going to, would amount to playing for the gallery, and the pockets of which we call them the Saffron Brigade, the Shiv Sena and RSS and Abhinev Bharat and MNS and parties like that, which have become so strong, so powerful that even the recent the Newsweek report is very, very important to be quoted, which said that the way the minorities are being treated in India, including Muslims and Dalit, and Mr. Modi's silence over that. We know that how they are being treated when they find the animals not slaughtered, but dying because of eating the plastic bags. The Dalits are punished and the Muslims are punished. The way it is so brutal, the treatment is so brutal with them that you start thinking that we're living in cave ages. And now the question of staging protests in Pakistan. I think it is imperative to understand the national security issues are so important for Pakistan. Pakistan is facing challenges and pressures from so many quarters. It's not only from the eastern border. We know that even on the western border, we have challenges. Afghanistan, which is definitely an unstable country and nothing to do with Pakistan. Pakistan has offered so many sacrifices while combating the menace of terrorism. We have done what no other country has done in the war against terror. Look at the achievements which Pakistan has made in North Waziristan, and look at the sacrifices of Pakistani people. More than 70,000 people laid down their lives while combating terrorism. This is not a mean achievement or mean sacrifice, it is the supreme sacrifice of the people of Pakistan. Now the challenges are multi-pronged. We know that challenges even from the USA, the pressures, we have noted statements coming from Washington as well. Not in so many words, but they are trying to sort of convey the message to Pakistan that you need to act against certain groups which they believe are violently extremist. And now these multi-pronged pressures, and then you come down to the political agitation. I think the timing is so wrong.
Right.
I think I agree. We need to agree to disagree with each other.
Right, right.
No problem.
Let
You
me
go for it.
take Achakzai Saab's input on that. Jan Saab, it's true. We all agree. I think we all agree with Jadoon Saab when he says that, it's the right of every political party to protest. And that's a political freedom that is, very relevant and allowed. And at the same time, the kind of, we've seen the timing in which this is happening, the international pressures also. But how far do you agree with this? I mean, it's been this kind of course, it's been building up and it's been there from day one.
I don't think it's the right of a political party to attack Parliament, as we said, is seen in the last Dharna. It's not the right of a political party to attack PTV building, to lock down Islamabad, to lock down Supreme Court building, to cripple, the National Secretariat, lock down all the sensitive political, sensitive security, offices in Islamabad, and also to cripple the economy of Islamabad and not let imbalances and the rest of the people to go on with their lives. This is not a political party's right. Okay, they have the right to have a peaceful protest. Yes,
definitely.
but they are not coming for protest. They are saying we would have a Yalghar in Islamabad. They would have a lockdown of Islamabad. So,
but they say there's no other way to be heard.
Okay, thank you. Then if there is no other way, would we justify taking up arms, taking up, resorting to illegal means? No lofty and justify bad means. So whatever their claim is, simply they have no justification to cripple the constitutional government of the country. You might have grievances, you might have your case, but if it disrupts the economic life of the people, it disrupts the ordinary life of people, if it cripple the important installations and buildings and offices of the country, including the Supreme Court, and I think your right finishes here, then this is not a banana state. The state has to decide to how far you can express your right of demonstration.
But they have gone to the other forums, have they not?
Yes, then again, then why we would say that the people who have taken up arms, whatever their justification is, there is no justification for whatever lofty goals you have it. I mean, okay, they have gone to Supreme Court and it's still being heard. If they have gone to Supreme Court and they are and their case is being heard, so why would they resort to agitation? Why they would not allow the Supreme Court to deliver its verdict if they have any case, a legal case? Second, they are already in ACP and the case is going on, and you have no final yes or no from ACP. So if they really mean, unless they want to put pressure on the Supreme Court, unless they want to put pressure on other institutions, this is simply unacceptable.
Right. Kamran Saab, they have, it is going on, like Jan Saab is saying, it is going on in the Supreme Court, and there's the Election Commission also, and there are the other forums also. And so don't you think that in this kind of climate, whereas you are involving the other institutions, but at the same time, isn't this sort of saying that we don't really believe what you'll say, we don't really have confidence in you, but at the same time also going to them, also knocking on their door?
Manur, yes. There is no justification of blocking Islamabad, blocking any city, or blocking roads, or street protest, or protest of protest of assault, or taking arms into hands, or taking law into your hands. So there is no justification. Yes, and that is correct. But as you said, and as you asked, what is the other remedy? I mean, what are the other options available for the PTI? That is why you quoted that they have went to the
Right.
Supreme Court. They have they have moved the jurisdiction of Election Commission of Pakistan. But PTI is very much clear on it. And although they have not declared it openly, but they know that they won't be able to have a favorable verdict from the Supreme Court. They have already targeted the members of the Election Commission, the honorable members of the Election Commission, and they have it's on the record that they don't believe in the transparency or in impartiality of the Election Commission or the Chief Election Commissioner as a head of of the institution.
But if
that
they
is
don't,
why.
let me add also. If they don't believe in the impartiality, like you're saying, if they don't believe in the impartiality of the very systems that they want to, they want to hold for them, they want to investigate the state institutions, then the other way is just protest.
Exactly. That is the reason. That is the reason that they have resorted to such extreme steps, and they have announced to block a capital or come to the streets and roads. Naturally, and there are some other reasons, Mahrookh. I mean, what is the reason of opposing or criticizing the members of the Election Commission or the Election Commission as a whole? The reason is that they say that this whole mechanism, this whole electoral system needs to be rectified. It needs to be rectified.
Right.
It should be overhauled. It needs to be amended, and you know that it's on the record that a parliamentary committee is in session, and it's in session for last many months.
Right.
I mean, it's years ago that a parliamentary committee was constituted to evolve the amendments in the electoral reforms.
Right.
But still, after the passage of 1 year or many months, this committee has yielded not a single result. I mean, that is almost deadlock in the party, in the committee. No productive work has been done by that. So that is why Imran Khan is claiming that. With this electoral system, with those electoral system to which they have a challenge in the Supreme Court and in the Election Commission, they
Right.
won't be able to get a fair result or independent result or transparent result.
Right.
That was why
That's-
he has resorted to an option which is being criticized, which is not being justified by many quarters.
Right, Jadoon Sahab, Kamran Sahab is saying that, actually there is, they want reforms, electoral reforms committee hasn't yielded any results. So they really, maybe that they don't see any other way. But even in such circumstances, isn't this the same story which was repeated earlier as far as the rhetoric about rigging was concerned, where it was said that, with the 4 constituencies and how rigging would be proved, like Jan Sahab said earlier?
I think I see a lot of confusion as far as the PTI is concerned. They haven't set the right goals. The goals are very, very misty, very foggy. At the moment, I don't understand what exactly their objectives are. If the objectives are to go for reforms, electoral reforms, I think obviously I agree with you, there are available platforms. If they want to go for the Panama Leaks issue, I think even for that particular issue, the right platforms are available. We may agree with the PTI's approach, we may not agree with that. But I think, Mahrookh, what is important right now is to address the situation. Given the dangers which Pakistan is facing today, the two parties, I think it is imperative for them not to ratchet up the rhetoric to the extent that they come to a point of no return. More responsibility lies on the government of the day, to diffuse the situation and to address any reservations which the other political force has,
Right.
whether they are logical or not. And I think in every democratic setup, opposition is the one which goes for the protest, and the
Right.
government is the one which addresses the situation.
exactly.
Now I've got a solution what needs to be done. I think government, being a responsible entity in Pakistan, should go for a political discourse involving the leadership of its own party,
Right.
PTI, Pakistan People's Party, even MQM and ANP as well.
Right.
They need to sit together. They must find a common ground, a converging ground, where they can at least agree to disagree, and they point out that, well, this is probably not the right time. Mr. Imran Khan does have a right to stage peaceful demonstrations, but I think he should be convinced that
Right.
this is not the right time, given the dangers, the lurking dangers around Pakistan. So we need the unity, the kind of a unity which,
Right.
it is the
It needs
requirement
to
of
be
the
seen.
moment.
The
I
unity
think
needs to
the
be
better
seen.
sense can prevail.
Right. Jan Sahab, why does the government not convince Khan Sahab?
First, this is not a Panama issue. Panama issue is a leverage. They want to use it for political gains. Will the government accept blackmails? Of course not.
But why not bring them on the table, considering the kind of situation it is? And like Jadoon Sahab is saying that, the kind of situation is, the government is always the one that will bring the opposition to the table, will encourage the talks, will come to a solution on the table.
We had these dialogues for months. We could not agree on TORs. We can agree on TOR in 24 hours if there is a willingness, but it has to be from PTI as well. Panama only says, I quote, that the Prime Minister's sons had offshore companies and we are not suggesting any wrongdoings. They are non-resident Pakistanis, they have every right. Now, whether they have bought it legally, whether the money went through Pakistan by any formal channel, whether it was laundered or there was a corruption, all these need probe. Now,
but the PM has said he's agreed to start with him, has he not?
PM would love to come any time to any forum. Now, they have brought in a law which says that Prime Minister has to answer for his kids, for his brothers, for his son-in-laws, for any business transaction they have it anywhere in the world, and for the last few decades. Now, you cannot have this discriminatory law against one person if it's not a Get Nawaz Sharif project. If it's a genuine accountability, yes, then Prime Minister's name is not in Panama. Let's expand the scope. That means everybody whose name is in Panama, whose name is not in Panama, who has got an offshore company, who has got plundered loans, should be part of the investigation. Remember, are we against corruption? Are we just against a certain offshore company that is only in one island, that is Panama? There are other islands, Virgin Island, Isle of Man, so many that I can quote. And then within country, we have instances of corruption even today. Down the line, 3 months, down the line, 1 year. That also need a mechanism to strengthen. We have to remember.
What about the bill that the government, isn't there a bill that the government wants to bring into the National
We want to
Assembly?
we will take into account all the political forces. I think, we will try to have a consensus on what, has been floated in the Senate. We don't have a Senate majority, but we'll try to have a consensus on that. To worst come to worst, then we, have to pass it through joint parliament, the joint session of the parliament. But we are very much adamant that the current system that we have, it has to be made robust, and that has to deliver on corruption. Corruption is the #1 problem of this country. The white collar crime is the #1 problem of this country. We all agree on. This is why PM El Noon is very much for clean government. There is no major scandal that PM El Noon has presided over the last I repeat, there is no major corruption scandal. So very much, even I know few of the ministers were not allowed to take over as ministers because they did not have a track record. I am quoting from the horse's mouth, because Prime Minister, put it down, and he said, excuse me, that simply your reputation has to be good as well, not only any allegations. So this is why the government is very much committed not to allow any scandal. Yes, we know that there are corruption in procurement. That is what need to be dealt with, and it's not easy. The second thing, the corruption of the white column is a hell of task. We have seen that in Karachi now. It is very difficult thing to prove, to have a judicial evidence of that crimes when occur. That is a challenge. But very much we are focused on. However, it should not be made a political issue, a point scoring issue. If really PTI is interested in corruption, it could not. It's said that within 90 days they will end corruption in KPK. Now it's more than 2 years. They are still struggling. They simply packed up the anti-corruption mechanism that the province had it, whether it was NAP or other anti-corruption body. They have it.
Let me take Kamran Saab's opinion on that. Kamran Saab, the PM has agreed that okay, we can start off with him. But why does the PTI want to limit it so much? Why not let it be across the board? If that's what they want, if corruption is really the issue, why not let it be across the board? What qualms do they have?
I think the Panama issue is not so easy as you are, or as the PML men are portraying it. I mean, yes, PM might have given his consent to appear before any forum for accountability. But
Right.
the situation is that PTI realizes, PTI, and I'm again saying that I'm not defending PTI right now. So PTI, I mean, the situation is that PTI has, the situation is that, the fact is that presently there are two parallel bills in the parliament. I mean,
Right.
one passed by the Senate of that bill was prepared and introduced by the opposition. And the second one is prepared by Achakzai.
Right.
So parallel legislation is going on. I mean, several sessions have been held on TOR's issue. You have not been able to break the deadlock on the TOR issue. Thirdly, Imran Khan went to the Supreme Court. He moved the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Article 184, subclause 3, where under every case of public importance is brought over there. So, but what happened initially? Supreme Court, and not only PTI, even Jamaat-e-Islami also filed a petition before the Supreme Court on the same identical issue. And what happened initially, the registrar of the Supreme Court objected to those petitions, and objections were leveled against those petitions, and they were sent back.
Yes.
They were given back to the petitioners. Then again an appeal was filed, and on that appeal an in-chamber hearing was held, and the judge decided that yes, we will determine the maintainability of these petitions in the open court. So the status is that neither the TORs have any progress has been made on the TORs issue, nor you can say any progress is being made in the legislation, I mean in the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court will, PTI has recently filed an application before the Supreme Court for early hearing of the case, but that case has not been listed so far. I mean, that petition was filed some 2 months ago.
But Kamran sahab, we
what
have
will
a
happen?
system.
They will first determine.
Let me
Determine the
clarify.
maintainability of the
Right.
petition, and on the other hand, on the parallel course, you will first determine the terms of reference, and then how
But
much time
Kamran
it
sahab,
will
you
take to move on. I
you
mean,
will not,
that is why
it's not
that
a
is
system. Just to clarify, I mean, we are a country where we have such a huge overhaul of cases, you know, and it is not that it's not. I mean, it's not that unnatural for a complainant or even for a normal person on the street to wait for years for their case to come. Granted that this is, to them, this is a matter of national importance, and of course corruption is a huge issue, but the fact that there are certain hitches in our legal system is also true.
But yes, you are elaborating facts, but it is also a fact that don't you think that all the political parties who were in helm of affairs in the past, I mean, they have their stakes, they have their interest. I mean, when you talk about the across the board accountability,
Right.
all whether it is PPI, whether MQM, whether ANP, I mean, all these parties will be directly hit by the Panama issue.
Right.
So that is why you see there is a deadlock on the TOR's issue. You see there is deadlock when Imran Khan or PTI offer extend an offer to the Pakistan People's Party to join hands with their protest, because even Pakistan People's Party also claims that yes, they are against the Panama leaks and Nawaz Sharif should come to the come into the dock. But the situation is that all these parties have their interest. They are not unanimous on terms of reference. They are not. They have not evolved any consensus on the legislation.
Right.
That is why two parallel bills are lying before the parliament. So these are the circumstances that has led Imran Khan to go to the street, to take to the streets.
But let me, Jadoon sahab, is it true that, you know, like Kamran sahab is saying, there is reluctance in according to him, there is reluctance in all political parties as far as, you know, when we come to the TORs or when we come to across the board accountability. But the party that is saying that, you know, that is asking people to march on the streets, is there not reluctance there also? Are they okay with across the board accountability for corruption?
Basically, I think all the stakeholders, they do not realize and do not understand that ultimately they will have to sit on the negotiating table. even if they come marching in Islamabad and
Right.
as they say they're going to shut down Islamabad, the capital city of Pakistan,
Right.
what is next? I think nothing can be achieved unless you sit on the negotiating table.
Right.
Even in worse circumstances, the only way forward is talks and nothing else.
Right.
I think the politics of confrontation and agitation is going to result in many problems for Pakistan, namely the game-changing project of CPEC is going to suffer definitely adversely, and many projects which have been already initiated, they might, come to a
Right.
grinding halt.
And
One.
in this kind of climate where, where our finance minister has said, he's being praised as the finance minister of the year, and the kind of economic stability that we are expecting through CPEC in this kind of climate,
Yes.
especially.
Yes. And secondly, there could be unraveling of the achievements of foreign terror. What we have done in North Waziristan, I think, is unparalleled, unmatched. We have done it what no other country could have done. Not even the Americans could have done what we have done in Afghanistan. I think this is about time that we mustn't allow the achievements to be unraveled by the politics of agitation.
Right.
Secondly, Pakistan's economy is at the moment, I believe, because of the several positive indicators, economic indicators at the launch pad.
Right.
If politics of agitation goes on, I think on these three important counts, Pakistan is to suffer and suffer very badly. And now what needs to be done? I think, as already stated, it is the responsibility of the government.
Right.
And even Mr. Imran Khan should realize that, well, we do understand. Everybody does understand that he has his grievances, and those grievances can only be addressed on the negotiating table. Whether, you will have, finally, you'll have to find a common ground. You give up something, and the government also gives up something. Then you come to a point which is the converging point, and it's a win-win situation for both the
Right.
parties. But I think now it is the responsibility of other political elements as well. If government is not initiating a dialogue, and Mr. Imran Khan is not sensing that this is not the right time to stage such a massive, and even I have got a problem with the word shutting down. You have a right to demonstrate, but
Right.
you mustn't
You don't
call
have
it that you are going to shut down the capital of the country. Shutting down is, I think, is not a negative
Right,
terminology or negative
Definitely.
kind of a phrase.
Definitely.
I think there should be some kind of a brainstorming in the party itself as well, that
Right.
when they talk about political agitation, they must choose the right words as well.
Definitely.
It's just the rhetoric, and rhetoric gives the negative perception as well.
Right.
Many
Perception
people in
that is
Pakistan
going
now
across
believe
the border and to the
across the
world,
border as
of
well.
course.
Everything. Manu, we know that what is happening on the front of the Dawn reporting as well. How American media capitalize on that. How even the global media, the American media, the British media, but
Right.
particularly I would like to mention the Indian media. It was kind of a bonanza for them.
Definitely.
And now, come October 30, and Mr. Imran Khan's party comes marching on the capital, and you eventually, it's just the hypothesis that they come to shut down the capital. What is going to be the result of that?
Right.
You paralyze the government, and ultimately what happens is that India is going to take advantage of that.
Right.
And our forces are pitted against
Our
the Indian
efforts
army
in the
on line
UN,
of
our
control.
efforts in the parliament,
This-
they will all go
Manu, this
undermined.
hypothetical scenario can be a dangerous scenario as well. You play your cards, you believe that you are playing your cards very carefully. But there is something which is the unknown territory as well. We know the Dharna situation. Once they started moving towards the Prime Minister's residence, that was the point when you lost control on your hardcore cadre. Same thing can happen this time around as well. You stage a Dharna in Islamabad, and then situation comes out of the control of the political leadership as well.
Right.
I think this is about time that it is the moment of reckoning for every Pakistani.
Right.
We know the kind of dangers we are facing right now, and even I think Imran Khan is a very intelligent person. He is a patriotic political leader, but I think it's about time that he mustn't sort of act on the basis of ego alone. The political expediency is something which is a known commodity in politics.
Right. Jan Saab, you agree, the government agrees that yes, it is not the right time, that that we all need to be united. Yes, we need to send positive perception across the border and to the world, where the Prime Minister makes such a huge impact with his speech in the UN, and we have the Parliament deliberating on the Kashmir issue, and perhaps for the first time making a dent as far as the Kashmir issue is concerned. And the economy is a factor. Why does the government not do more to make sure that PTI, as surely it is its responsibility, sits on the table, there is talk and sanity prevails? What does the government propose to do?
I think the only thing is left for the government is to fire itself and to get packing. I mean, this is what Imran Khan wants. I mean, there is only one way that government gets packing, that is, 2018. They have to vote it out.
Right.
There is no other means. I mean, it's a good slogan that he is, working under. Otherwise, if he is really against corruption, we have got a, huge boom in KPK, where his government is. I mean, he has got left, right, center, all the people who have been alleged to have been involved in practices. So he has no moral locus standing. He has no moral locus standing to ask for any accountability when he is himself involved, his own colleagues are involved in a very serious allegations.
Right.
Now, having said that, he really wants to see this government somehow removed from power. Before now we remember more than 3 months he was agitating on this slogan of rigging. Now this is another pitch that he wants to use it. So this is what his purpose is. So all the talk of empire, raising its finger, all the talk of people distributing, sweets, this is nothing. He's waiting for some sort of opportunity to remove this government by any means. So
the
that
Prime
is,
Minister has agreed to a commission.
well, that is agreed to a commission, but remember, we need to amend the law. We don't have a majority in the Senate. It has to be a consensus, and this is simply not the PM alone job. It is the whole nation's job. The whole political forces are very much apparently want to remove corruption, though they have got governments in various provinces, though there are serious allegations of corruption. So if we really want to see this, it should not be a witch hunt against the Prime Minister.
Right.
It should not be a media trial of the Prime Minister when nothing has been proved against him. Even if you have somebody who has killed somebody and you have caught him with some sort of weapons of killing, you have to go through the process of rule of law and the due diligence. That means he is innocent till proven guilty.
Right.
Here is a dubious Panama statement which suggests nothing more than these are the facts, and they do not mean that they are incrementing facts can stand to the scrutiny of the court of law.
Right. Kamran Sahab, Jan Sahab has admitted that the government really has offered what it can, and it really does not have other tricks up its sleeve. In this kind of scenario, what do you see happening as a what do you think as a journalist and as your experience? What do you think will happen on the 30th? And also, hasn't the Pakistan Council is also planning to stage a protest on around this time, is it not?
Pakistan Council?
Yes.
Which one?
Maulana Samiul Haq was criticized.
Okay. Religious political parties.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, and Imran Khan was earlier criticized, of course.
Manur, in fact, it's a universal truth in Pakistan that accountability has never been a cherished goal in Pakistan. I mean, we have been experiencing very different models of accountability. In earlier tenure of Nawaz Sharif, there used to be a Ehtisab commission headed by Saifur Rahman. Then General Pervez Musharraf introduced the National Accountability Bureau, that is NAB. And what is the result? I mean, all these institutions were used for exploiting or for political exploitation. I mean, in the Musharraf regime and earlier even and now what is happening, even a number of cases of political leaders are pending before the NAB. Some are at the investigation stage, some are at the prosecution stage, some are in the courts of accountability courts, and the result is that all those cases are waiting to be adjudicated by the concerned quarters. So the result is that there is utter failure of the accountability institutions. I mean, right now, yes, there is NAB,
But
and
whether there
what
is
happened?
a
And I must
failure
quote,
there or not.
Manur, I must quote an example here in which is directly related with the Panama issue. Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament, that committee decided to take up this issue of Panama leaks in one of its meeting. Notices was served on the National Accountability Bureau chairman. Notice was also served on FIA and Director General. Notice was also given on the FBR chairman, and the State Bank governor was also summoned in that important meeting. So it was hype for the media to witness that proceeding. But what happened on the said date when that particular hearing was to be conducted? And no one, I mean, all these institutions were absent from that particular meeting.
Right.
So hue and cry was made, and again notices were served. And in the next meeting, when all these gentlemen came to the meeting, Chairman NAB said, no, we don't have any jurisdiction to intervene or to probe the issue of Panama, because it is all paper news. I mean, these are newspapers and media reports. That is why we don't have any concrete evidence to start in investigation or prosecution
But
in
the
any of
probe
the
into any
So
allegation cannot
similar
be on
cases
the streets.
similar allegations or excuses were given by the other, I mean, by the FIA, even by the FBR. So you must admit that yes, we have a lukewarm approach towards accountability.
But Kamran Sahab, just as a lay person, for somebody who for our legal system, when we talk about our legal system, we talk about the ECP, we talk about the Parliament, and we say that there was a hearing and nobody was present, so they're not serious, or there was a hearing which was postponed, for example. That happens every day in our courts. In a normal case, the normal man does not march on the street protesting it. I'm just saying that these are issues that our country faces.
Yes, but you cannot generalize the issue of Panama leaks. I mean, it's a separate issue. It is being dealt separately by the government, by the opposition, by the protesters, and by the even some quarters of the population.
So you think this is the right way?
So I don't think that it can be compared with other cases, other pending cases, or other pendency or backlog of the cases in the courts. It's a different case. It has a different fora.
So what do you think will happen on the 30th?
On
the 30th?
On 30th, obviously Imran Khan will come to the streets, and he has already declared that it will not be only a dharna, it will be dharna plus. And I think, but to my personal opinion is that all these things are now being converted into electoral campaigns. I mean, Pakistan Muslim League Noon has successfully and very tactfully completed its 2/3 tenure, and now 1/3 tenure is left. And I think that now all the efforts and will converge towards the 2018 election. And basically, this momentum, which is being built up by the PTI, it will be discerned as a pre-election campaign.
Right, Jadoon Sahab, it is like Kamran Sahab is saying that it is really about, it might just be like about the election campaign, and this is building of momentum. But we've talked about in detail about how it's probably not the right time for this sort of agitation to march on the streets to show a disunited front. What do you think? Do you agree that this is likely to be the scenario on the 30th, or do you think better sense will prevail? The London plan, what kind of London plan are we having when the leaders of PTI are meeting there? What do you think will happen?
For better sense to prevail, well, allow me to disagree with John Achakzai when he says that the government has run out of options. In politics, you never run out of options. I think the political parties definitely have the flexibility, and they always show that flexibility. In politics, you never shut the doors on opposition. You always leave the doors little ajar, so that you can, at some particular moment, you can initiate the process of dialogue. You open the channels of dialogue, and then you can resolve the issues as well. Here, I believe that the rigid positions are not going to help Pakistan on either side, the government and the opposition as well. Even I think I would even caution Mr. Imran Khan to understand the gravity of the situation. And equally, I would urge the government as well to show little flexibility and talk about. I think the rhetoric is not going to help.
Right.
When you ratchet up the rhetoric, I think the two sides take a very rigid stand.
Right.
Then you don't leave the option of a face-saving kind of a situation for the opposition. And I think this is about time that we must give some kind of sort of the escape route as well to the opposition, so that when he realizes that he doesn't have to come to Islamabad, there should be some kind of a face-saving formula as far as the PTI is concerned. If you don't leave any space for the party, I think they will be left with no option, because as the second important political party, the second largest political force, they will be sort of not be able to save the face as well, as far as their political support base is concerned. So I think I still believe the more responsibility lies with the government.
Right. Unfortunately,
Just
that's
one sentence. I mean, all opposition
Jansa,
parties,
we are nearly out
all
of time.
opposition parties have dismissed the modus operandi of PTI, the way they do the politics of agitation, whether it was Arrival March or this Islamabad campaign. So he's a lone, isolated figure now.
Right. That's all the time that we have today. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for being with us. It remains the truth that politics today should be about unity, considering the kind of climate that we have, the kind of international climate, the kind of climate across the border, and we hope that better sense will prevail. But also it is true that the government will we hope that the government will bring the opposition, bring the PTI on the table, and we will not see a rehatch of the kind of dharna that we saw last time, the kind of politics that the world exhibited, which would look terrible at this time coming from Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining me today on Perspective.